I pledge allegiance to the flag of the
United States of America and to the republic
which
for which
stands
it stands,
one
one
nation,
nation, under
God,
God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Byerly.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
Here.
Councilmember Missouri.
Here.
Councilmember Mincer.
Here.
Councilmember Morris.
Here.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Here.
Mayor Long.
Here. Acceptance of or the correction of the minutes to the December 7th regular meeting.
Move acceptance.
Second.
Motion on the floor and second. Any further discussion on the motion? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Byerly.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin.
Looks like he froze.
Yeah,
Yes.
Councilmember,
Well, yes. How's that?
there you go.
Councilmember Missouri.
Yes.
Councilmember Mincer.
Yes.
Councilmember Morris.
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. Public comments. Greg, did you have any public comments?
Yes, the city, after last meeting's passage of the entering into an agreement for a 2-year feasibility study with the company for the lease of the property around Rosecrans, did receive 2 written letters from residents of Green Township. And both of those expressed a lot of concerns with what the potential long-term would be for a solar development on that approximately 100 acres, but it is spread out in a variety of parcels of land. So I just wanted to express to everybody that I certainly understand the reservations of the people in the area of Green Township. However, it's important too to understand that what the city authorized is for a company to do a 2-year study as to whether or not solar would be a good fit for that site. All the company is interested in right now is potentially doing that study on putting a solar farm there, and it'll take them about 2 years to do that. So that's why they're interested in securing the property so that they can do that. That does not mean that tomorrow fences are going up and that a solar farm is being installed. The developer still needs to go through, and that's part of their study, figuring out what would they need to go through when it comes to zoning in Green Township and conversations with the Conservation District and other development type issues that anybody who wants to put anything anywhere has to do the same thing. And part of that is public comments on different time periods, especially when it deals with changing rules or implementing rules in a municipality. So I think it's important to remember that this is just the start of a process and that there's no guarantee of any outcome. At the end of 2 years, the company may say it's not feasible. They may say it is feasible, but even then, that's part of discussions that'll take place over time. And in the interim, that company, under the agreement that's proposed, would be able to sublet the property to local farmers in order to recoup some of their costs. And those local farmers did express interest in that property. So that's still a win for local farmers there as well.
Any comments on that from council?
Yeah, I rather regret not having read that in a little more detail before I voted on it. In fact, this company would be a subtenant, is that right?
The company themselves, well, the city is the tenant under a long-term lease with the city authority. So this is,
Right.
yes.
And therefore, a farmer would be a subtenant. Not that none of those are insuperable obstacles, but I just wanted to be clear what the status of all these entities would be.
Yes.
Any other questions?
I have one other comment as well. One of those letters came to me, and I forwarded it to Greg, and I did respond because a lot of the issues
Rick, you're breaking
on
up.
the letter
Can't hear what
were
you're saying.
irrelevant. All right. Anyway, I hope you can hear me. My point was that I did respond to the letter myself as well as forwarded it to Greg. And she, again, they talked about issues unrelated to the solar field. And I just wanted them to understand that it was just the solar field I had issue with.
Yes, I thought there was a slightly ominous tone in that when you were invited to consider the feelings of people who didn't think the city should have been there in the first place. And had they been there for about 60 years, that would not be a productive discussion.
Any further comments or questions on this issue, on the correspondence? Okay, thank you. Greg, do you have any other correspondence?
I had none, Your Honor.
Does anyone else have any correspondence they received they want to bring before council? Okay, we'll move on. Other correspondence. Use of the Corman Amphitheater for downtown Lock Haven Hometown Heroes banner ceremony on August 28th, 2021.
The Director of Community Life has two use requests on the agenda for tonight. They both require council approval, but I'll let her speak to both of those and then council can take whatever action they choose.
So our first request comes from the manager of Downtown Lock Haven Inc., Marie Valello. This is for their Hometown Heroes banner ceremony. This happens every other year. This year, they would like to hold it on August 28th, 2021, and this would be for the whole day for use of the floating stage and the amphitheater to honor the Hometown Heroes and to do a banner unveiling. I will be working closely with them to ensure that any COVID guidelines that need to still be in place will be taken care of and handle that as it comes as well. So.
The wish of council.
I'd move acceptance.
Second.
A motion floor and a second. Any further comment or questions on this?
It's not a question, more like a comment. I know the committee that I sat on for Hometown Heroes has been working and gearing up, offering a discount to the end of January for banners. And they're looking for rehangs, new banners, and anybody interested in the community put their hometown hero up there. And they don't have to be a veteran. They can be fire, police, EMS. They can be our healthcare workers. So if you know somebody that you would like to honor or a business that could sponsor a few banners, then contact downtown office for the details.
Thank you. Any other questions? Call for the vote, please.
Councilmember Byerly.
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin. Councilmember Missouri.
Yes.
Councilmember
Yes.
Minster.
Yes.
Councilmember Morris.
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson.
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes, I think you heard Councilman Conklin was a yes. That
Yep.
Let in there for a minute. 5B, use of Zendel Park for camp
Yep, so,
wedding on June 19th.
the requester's last name is Camp, so
Okay,
is requesting the use of Zindel Park on June 19th for an intimate wedding ceremony. And I will obviously work with her and her party and ensure that all of our guidelines and rules and regulations for the use of that park will be followed.
what's the wish of council?
Move approval.
I'll second it.
Motion on the floor and a second. Any questions or comments on the motion? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Byerly,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Yes.
There it is.
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Mincer,
Yes.
Councilmember Morris,
We should have a contest for the longest pause before yes, shouldn't we? Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson,
I think he has Jackie out there turning the crank or something. I'm not sure, but I vote yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. It's a good thing that ours isn't hooked up to the treadmill back here. It wouldn't be running. That's me. Okay, do we have any other correspondence?
I had none.
Okay, unfinished business. 6A, authorization to solicit bids for CDBG paving of East Water Street and from North J Street east to the city line.
This is a project of the city planner, Abby Roberts, and she's here to speak to that this evening.
Good evening. So this project is part of our community development block grant. It will use funds from 2018 and 2019 combined to do mill and paving and also reconstruct some of the ADA ramps along the intersections. The bid opening for this project will be February 11th, and it will be advertised in the paper in the next couple of days. So like the 20th is the first advertisement.
Okay.
The opening does coordinate with the other paving project that was approved at the last council meeting by council.
What's the wish of council?
I'll move approving the project.
Second.
Motion on the floor and a second. Any questions or comments on the motion? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Byerly,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Mincer,
Yes.
Councilmember Morris,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. 6B, consideration of the award of a bid for garbage collection services to J.J. Peters, who was the lowest bidder.
J.J. Peters is the current company that we use in the city for the pickup of refuse from all the different facilities, including the parks and the fire departments. And they were once again the lowest bidder on this year's bid agreement. And so we would recommend that council approve the bid of J.J. Peters.
You're on mute, Bill, if you wanted to say something.
I have a question, Greg. I went down through this and Triangle Park, and maybe I'm missing something, is more expensive than all the other parks and like the second highest cost, if I'm not mistaken, of any of the other pickup sites. And it's only picked up once a week. Some of the ones that are even picked up twice a week are cost less than that. I was kind of curious as to why unless maybe it's more than just what I'm looking at as Triangle Park. Unless it's more than it's that whole area down through there, but.
Well, to our good fortune, we have the Director of Public Works here this evening, so maybe he can shed some light on that.
Tony?
Good evening, everyone. That is a good point, Bill. I do see that. It does call for 6 10 gallons, 2 20 gallons, and 2 30 gallons. And because it is an every week pickup, that's where you see that price. That price has always been that way from the 2018 project. And I think it's due to the high volume of traffic right there that they had to stop and get out, and because they need 2 people there. And that is one of the ones that is an all year round pickup. Like once we go into the fall season, we usually eliminate a couple receptacles and dumpsters in every park, and that's all. It's all in the extra bid package that lays out the rules. And
I didn't even actually understand what the I'm glad that you explained that 610 gallon and that kind of to make sense, because if you look at the 10 gallons in every other place is $144. So 6 times $144 plus the $220 gallons and the 30 gallons.
Right.
It probably does come out to whatever is equal in all the other parks there. So, okay, thank you. That helped.
Thank you.
I will add for council's information, if you look at that bid, which of course is publicly available and has been throughout the process, we do split that out in the budget by department. And so the line item where we, as a city, pay for all of the trash cans in the central business district to be emptied is a line item in Department 409. So you can see how much that contribution is to basically the downtown business area for the removal of refuse from the trash cans along the street and in the parking lots.
So what's the wish of council?
I'll move approval.
A
Second.
second.
Thank you. Any further questions? I think we've discussed this pretty good.
Awarded.
I'm sorry, Rick, you're kind of muffled and
Well, the motion was to approve the contract for J.J. Peters for garbage collection.
That's correct. Something else you want to say, Rick, or is that just you want to make it clear? Okay, well, then we'll call for the vote.
Councilmember Byerly,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Mincer,
Yes.
Councilmember Morris,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. Okay, 6C, consideration of the appointment of David Dietrich of North Fairview Street to fill the vacancy on the Planning Commission.
The city received a written request from David Dietrich of North Fairview, and the city planner had a discussion with him about serving on the Planning Commission, and he's agreeable to do that. So if council is agreeable to his appointment, he would begin his term at the next meeting, and his term would end January 1st, 2025.
What's the wish of council?
I'll move for his approval.
Second.
Motion floor and second. Any further discussion? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Byerly,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri,
You're still not hearing me. Yes.
Yes.
Sorry.
Councilmember Mincer,
Yes.
Councilmember Morris,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. Any other unfinished business, Greg?
I had none, Your Honor.
New business, 7A, consideration of the approval of the PennDOT detour route for the Great Island Bridge repairs.
This is kind of like phase 2 of this project. I'll turn it over to the Director of Public Works, who's looked over the detour route and also had conversation with PennDOT about it.
Okay. In 2018, PennDOT preserved the bridge across from the airport that goes over the Great Island. And this is, like Greg said, like phase 2. This is the other bridge at the other end of Great Island. But they are proposing to use the same detour route as they'll affect the same vehicular traffic. The detour route will be along Water Street, Washington Street, and Main Street. Using 2018's provisions, they must comply with city guidelines, and should there be any repairs or, should there be any damages, they will be responsible for repairs within the city limits. And the recommendation is to approve this route, and then tomorrow I'll send them a letter saying it looks good.
Question, Tony. And I just want to make sure I'm thinking in the right place. Is this the bridge that's down by the park area by Piper?
No, that was done in 2018.
Okay.
This is the one on the eastern end of the Great Island, the farther end.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That was the first island bridge. This is the second island bridge. And Tony, are you going to go videotape or document the conditions of the roads before they start that?
Yeah, well, we have it drawn up so that the contractor must videotape or take pictures. Yes.
Very good. I move for approval then.
Okay. Do I have
A second.
A second. Any further discussion? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Byerly,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Minzer,
Yes.
Councilmember Morris,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. Tony, before we move on from that, the other bridge that was done before, that road that comes out there, that's not actually part of the city there, is it? It's Castanea, right?
There's a weird. If you look at our online map, there's a weird 300 feet that calls for the city, and then it goes into Castanea, and then back into the city.
Mhm.
And that, if you look at the liquid fuels map, it's called out on the actual liquid fuels map.
Mhm.
But the I think we were talking about Crick Road. That would be Castanea.
Yeah. Wasn't ever any thought of moving that road in some way that makes it easier to see what's coming over the bridge when you're coming out from there?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't.
It is what it is. We've dealt with it for a long time. Just somebody brought it up to me the other day and I just wondered. Okay, sorry, Molly. 7B, consideration of the extension of the landscaping agreement with DADS the final year with the addition of $75 per mowing and the inclusion of the Tiger Den.
Okay. This is to extend the current landscaping agreement with DADS Landscaping. This is the final year of the contract. Per the contract, if we are accepting of their work, we can extend the contract for 3 years total. So this would be the final year. We've added on or asked them to provide a quote for the Tiger Den, and it comes out to $75 per mowing. So the recommendation is to approve the extension and include the Tiger Den.
Do I have a motion?
I move.
I'll second.
Motion floor and second. Any further questions or comments? Call for the vote.
Councilmember Byerly,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Go ahead. You'll move forward. We'll go
Councilmember
back.
Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Minzer,
Yes.
Councilmember Morris,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. Rick, can you hear us? We may have lost Rick. I don't know. You're muted, so if you're talking to us, we can't hear you. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. Sorry, Rick. 7C, consideration of appointing Baker Tilly.
For several years, well, decades, Baker Tilly has been the independent auditor appointed by City Council to perform the fiscal year audit as required under the third-class city code. And Baker Tilly put in a proposal last year in 2020 that was a 3-year proposal. If council is interested in renewing that, which would be my recommendation, in order to complete the 2020 fiscal year audit, the pricing for that would be $44,290. That includes all of the major and minor funds of the city. And it does not appear right now that we would need to do a single audit this year, although likely we would have to do one for 2021. So that will help keep the cost down. But it would be my recommendation that council appoint Baker Tilly as the independent auditor for the price listed.
Which council?
There is a school of thought that municipalities should regularly change their auditors lest they develop a
Familiarity.
I'm trying to think of the word and I can't. Too symbiotic a relationship between the municipality and the auditors. Do we subscribe to that view or not?
I'm not averse to that. However, it would take us, I mean, obviously more than a few weeks to put together an RFP for that. So if that is the wish of council, that's something we could work on this year in putting together an RFP to get that out in the fall and then bid that or consider those proposals at the beginning of 2022 for the 2021 fiscal audit.
I think it might be prudent just to ask the question. I'm happy with that time frame, but I think it might be prudent just to ask the question.
So would you like to put the approval for this year up as a motion, Richard?
Oh, yeah. Yes, I can do that.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further questions or comments? Just that I do think it's prudent that sometimes we look elsewhere, but with everything else being in upheaval this year with COVID and all that's happened, it's probably good to wait another year before we do that. Just my thoughts. Call for the vote, please. Casey?
Oh, sorry, I didn't unmute myself. Councilmember Byerly,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Sometimes it doesn't matter, Casey. Yes.
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Mincer,
Yes.
Councilmember Morris,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. 7D, appointment of member of council to meet with Lock Haven City Authority to engage in discussion regarding the city's agreements with the same.
A lot of people in the public, because the Lock Haven City Authority is called the City Authority, it becomes synonymous in people's minds, especially outside the city, with the city as a governmental entity. They are, in fact, two different entities, and the city council appoints the 5 members of the Lock Haven City Authority to its board. And the city authority has, under an agreement of lease with the city of Lock Haven, one agreement for the operation and maintenance of the water system, and that agreement runs through the year 2038, and another agreement for the operation of the sewer system, which runs through 2045. And so it's been a little while since the city sat down and had a conversation with the authority to make sure we're all swimming in the right direction up the stream or down the stream, as sewer may be. And so I'm just requesting that, along with the mayor, who is the liaison to the Lock Haven City Authority, one member of council be appointed in order to just have a discussion about the agreements and make sure that we're all copacetic.
I would be interested in serving in that capacity. Did anybody hear that?
We heard
Yeah.
that.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I should have acknowledged that. I was.
That's
I
all
was-
right.
We were just
Anyone else
bunking you.
We all should have looked one. Anyone else have any comment, any interest? What, want to make a motion? Anyone?
I don't think that I want to set on that, so I would back Rick with a question, please. I hope he's not shut off, that with the appointment, in his opinion about the solar panel study, can you keep that opinion separate from what your job is going to be with negotiating or talking to the authority and fine tuning those things? I am a supporter of the solar panel study until it comes back to say what it can and can't do and if it's feasible or not. So I just want to make sure that that wouldn't interfere with what you're talking to the authority about.
concerned, this has to do with the agreement with the authority. I hope you're hearing me. And the fact that it has to do with the agreement with the authority and not the solar field per se, I'm sure that I can be completely objective.
I'll move Rick be the second appointment. Councilman Conklin.
I'll
Second.
second.
We have a second. Okay, motion floor and a second. I don't know that there's any need for any further discussion. Doug, did you want to say something? You clicked on your mic. Okay. Casey, call for the vote.
Councilmember Byerly,
Yes.
Councilmember Conklin,
Yes.
Councilmember Missouri,
Yes.
Councilmember Mincer,
Yes.
Councilmember Morris,
Yes.
Councilmember Stevenson,
Yes.
Mayor Long.
Yes. Thank you, Rick. Greg, do you have any new business? Any other new business?
I had no other new business. I did just want to comment again because I am wearing my historic district official polo shirt. You can go to Addie's Awards on Main Street and pick up the official order the official polo shirt. You can even get it custom engraved with your street address underneath if you live in the historic district. I know some people have done that. I would encourage more people to do that. I mean, especially if in the historic district, those of us who live here end up having a picnic, wouldn't you be embarrassed if you were the only one who came and didn't have your official polo shirt?
Oh.
So that's all I have, Your Honor.
Can we get an official Hill Section t-shirt or something?
We'll work on that.
All right.
We will have the Director of Community Life start looking into an official logo for the Hill District, and we'll see what we
Well,
can.
not to be outdone, what about the Sunset Pines Road paving project t-shirt?
Oh, well, they are getting stormwater, which is even better than a polo.
Oh, right.
Something,
Okay.
get a t-shirt that said, I survived the Sunset Pines.
Stormwater management project. And all I got was this lousy t-shirt.
There is
Anything
an
else?
argument that says I survived Sunset Pines, period. I do have a question if everybody else is done.
Sure.
What's the state of play on the development of the comprehensive plan?
The city planner is here. It is my understanding during the month of February, a draft of that will circulate to the committee that was established on council and also to the planning commission. And then I believe that it may be the second meeting in March that it is going to be publicly released. Does that sound like that's still a viable timetable, Abby?
Yep, that's right. So a draft will be sent out to the subcommittee for the comprehensive plan February 1st, as well as the planning commission. And then the planning commission will meet February to discuss, and also March to discuss and submit their recommendation to approve the plan to council. And then the second meeting of March, so March 15th, it is the plan to have the last public meeting, which is more or less a formality, and adopt the plan.
Thank you.
Yep.
Anything else? So Greg, if I start a GoFundMe page to help provide Councilman Conklin with better video conferencing equipment, would it be appropriate to send that out via the city email?
I'm kind of curious what it is because like we are all but neighbors. I think we live like 2 blocks away, but there must be some difference in his connectability compared to mine. I mean, we
Could be
both have the
equipment.
same flyer and stuff.
Whatever he's using for a laptop or.
He's in some kind of little hole because, you know, he lives on a curve.
True.
So it's probably that those beams
Yeah.
aren't curving around the corner. So.
Is living on the
The
curb?
houses around me are too. The houses around me are too big. That's the problem.
That's the problem.
Is living on the curb the nice way of saying going round the bend?
Oh,
I guess you could say a different kind of
I'm on,
bend.
Actually, that does prompt a question. Is there anything in the city's rules and regulations that would preventers given these hiatuses in connectivity in voting by show of hands?
Well, that would help if Rick's screen didn't freeze up as well.
Well, if it froze with his hand raised, that would ease the process.
You'd have to pick right hand for yes.
Left hand.
No. Okay, we digress.
I did want to mention that we, just, I don't know if everybody saw, we did have a new men's store open up downtown this weekend. So I
Fantastic.
don't know if you got a chance to get out there.
Park Haven just amazes me. We just keep doing things in spite of the pandemic. It's fantastic. Thank you, everyone. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
You do.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Bye.